Good afternoon, my friends. Thank you for being with us in one more session of Kardec After Lunch, hosted by Kardec Radio. I apologize for setting today, but I had some other appointments I had to keep up, and so we are on the move, okay? But thank you for being with us. Allow me to read a couple of announcements, and here they are. Download Kardec Radio's app, available free of charge for Android or iPhone, and listen to our programs and podcasts. Feel encouraged to send questions, comments, or suggestions to Kardec Radio's Twitter account. And although all of this work is done by volunteers, there are costs associated with web and app hosting, along with broadcast and publishing. So if you're able to, please be kind and donate so this work of love may continue for many years to come. We encourage everyone to interact as we do this little 15 minutes of reading and commentary. So all input is welcome. Okay, and we're gonna be reading from just a second. Let me put it here on the screen. The Medium's book. It's also pictured up above. And if you happen to have the book, I suggest to follow along with us. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you here in a second what page. Oh, thank you, Clarissa Ribeiro, for your support. Appreciate it. So you can open it up on page number 152. Okay. Oh, and also Susan Hood Kaufman. Thank you for your support. If you send any comment, questions, or suggestions, and I feel it's warranted to put up on the screen, I will do so. Okay. We are on the theoretical essay about apparitions. We are on item number 101, and it goes like this. The most common manifestation of apparitions occur in dreams during sleep. These are visions. We cannot here examine all the particularities that dreams can present, but we'll sum them up by stating what they may be: an actual vision of present or absent things, a retrospective vision of the past in certain exceptional cases, a presentment of the future. So you see, it's not. Oh, hello. This is from Clarissa. Hello from Brazil. Thanks for the reading. It's really, uh, I am privileged to be able to do this, and I really think it's warranted, right? If I'm gonna be studying Spiritism, anyways, why not make it available for others to join in, right? So thank you for your support. Also, Celia Regina Bocci da Silva. Sorry if I mispronounce any of the names, but I appreciate your support as well. So frequently, he says, there are also allegorical images that good spirits present to us as useful warnings or beneficial advice. If they are imperfect spirits, they may use them to mislead us and encourage our passions. Now, given our inclinations, right, it is more likely there are friends in the spiritual realm. Are they of the higher developed ones, or they are more like within our range of possibilities, meaning slightly above, perhaps slightly below, and um, and likely to encourage, us by affinity of thought, right? We had to keep that in mind, and we had to constantly be watchful for what type of affinity, what type of inclinations are we encouraging, are we harnessing, are we creating, right? So he goes on and says, the theory that follows below is applicable to dreams and all other cases of apparitions. We shall not offend our readers' common sense if we refute the absurd and foolish notions of what is entailed in popular dream interpretation. Now, dream interpretation, it's been with us for a long, long time. It is said many times, it was referred to many times in the Bible. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, Moses, I could be wrong about this, but there is one particular notable biblical figure, which was key in his appointment to the court or to the kingdom because of the reliability of which he interpreted dreams. And back then, of course, it was a almost view with a certainty of a future happening. Number 102, apparitions per se occur during the waking state when the individual is in full enjoyment and has the complete freedom of his or her faculties. They change in a vaporous and diaphanous form that is sometimes vague and indistinct. When they first appear, they are almost always a whitish light whose contours gradually become more definite. And of course, we're not here really with the intent to interpret dreams, but if you do have some knowledge that is pertinent to the topic at hand, like I said, feel free to interact, okay? At other times, their forms are clearly accentuated, and the minute trace of the face can be distinguished to such a degree that it can be precisely described. Their appearance and other characteristics are similar to those of the spirit when it was incarnate. So, and that's one of the ways that we can, to a certain extent, um, verify the identity of the spirit who's communicated. Of course, it's probably way easier for us to be to have a little certainty of that identity if the spirit was known to us in life, right? Um, if it was just, let's say, a known historical figure, we likely do not know exactly how it looked, how it behaved, and if it's impersonation or not. So remember, as Kardec and the spirits themselves mentioned, um, always judge any communication, any and all communications, um, with logic, with sense, with reasoning. Okay, so let's continue. Since a spirit can assume any appearance, it presents itself with the one by which it can be best identified, if that is what it wants. Now, one thing I'm probably going to mention here later on is not only the ability of the spirit, but the permission to behave in such a way. For example, uh, assume a form other than its own with the intent to deceive. As I understand, many uses of such abilities are not permitted. Okay, let's continue. Thus, even though it has no actual corporeal handicap as a spirit, it may appear to be maimed, lame, humpbacked, wounded, or scarred, if that is what it is needed to identify it. Okay, so what is telling us here is while the body has its defects, for example, an amputee, a war veteran, you could have many scars and a missing limb. And although the spirit itself is not missing anything, does not have scars, uh, the spirit may choose the specific form to appear so it can be more easily identifiable. Okay. For example, Aesop, it's not the form as a spirit, but if you would evoke him, he would appear ugly and humpbacked, wearing his traditional garb, no matter how many lives he has lived in the meantime. One particularity worth noting is that, except in special circumstances, the least precise components of an apparition are the lower limbs, while the head, torso, arms, and hands appear clearly. Hence, we almost never see them walk. they glide like shadows. That is something that has been communicated to me by different persons, mostly family members. Um, Two key points, perhaps, and perhaps just like I mentioned, a particularity is more than not. Instead of walking, no, they glide, and instead of speaking by movement of mouth, they transmit their thoughts. And if anyone, in the audience can corroborate or at least can throw a different light in the subject, like I mentioned, feel free to. Okay, this is a joint study session, and that's why we do this. As for their garments, they are usually comprised of a sort of drapery that ends in low flowing folds. Spirits who have retained nothing of their earthly life appear with flowing and graceful hair, but the ordinary spirits of individuals with whom we are familiar usually dress as they did during the final days of their existence. Um, because, like he mentioned here, it will be easily, more easily identifiable to us if those who are familiar to us appear in the most recent form, right? Quite often, they display attributes that are characteristic of their elevation, such as halo or wings, leading them to be regarded as angels. Now, that does not mean that by your elevation you will be given a halo or wings. Elevated spirits and agents of God do not have a halo or wings. But if, once again, if for the necessity of being identified or regarded as a specific envoy or some related to a specific figure, the spirit may use such physical attributes to better portray, or sorry, to better convey their message. Others carry symbols that remind us of their earthly activities. A warrior may appear in armor, a scholar with books, an assassin with a dagger, and so on. Highly evolved spirits display a beautiful, noble, and serene figure, whereas the least evolved ones have something ferocious and bestial about them, sometimes is still bearing vestiges of crimes they committed or the tortures they suffer. Now, speaking on this part right here, um, there is another fact to consider is this spirit is able to make those modifications to the perispirit, to the appearance, uh, little by little. Once it is aware and able to use this control, then he or she may use it with more distinction, with more knowledge. But whereas the spirit is less elevated, does not yet is not yet aware of this possibility of control, then he or she will display characteristics that he or she thinks the body still has. Right? They may not be doing with the intent, but they are unaware that the spirit is unblemished. So, and that's one of the reasons why um, a spirit may appear also with scars, with uh, uh, noticeable, s- let's say, marks of torture or whatnot, because he or she perished under, the action, and it's not aware that it is dead or is in the spiritual world, and the spirit itself is unblemished. The body is not. Let me read here just the last part. The issue of clothing and accessories is perhaps the most intriguing. We shall return to discuss this in a special chapter because it is connected with other very important issues. So this is where we're going to be leaving off. I'm going to continue from number 103 next week. I thank each and every one of you for the support you have given us, the time and the patience you have dispensed us. And until next time, Godspeed to all.